In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need to know in order to get the best low-light footage using the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. Now, a couple months back, I released a video showing you how to get low-light footage with the Osmo Action 5 Pro using the night mode on the camera. But today's video is going to explore those advanced settings that are going to really help you get the very best footage with this camera. The footage is going to look really good. And I've got lots and lots of samples throughout this video that I'll show you to prove it. Now, there's only one piece of equipment you'll need for this, and that piece of equipment is a gimbal. And this particular gimbal is the Hohem iSteady Pro 4. And the reason I like this gimbal is it's a very budget-friendly gimbal. It costs less than $100. It's super easy to mount the camera on here. There's just a clip. You don't have to do any balancing. And this gimbal provides enough stability that you can leave rock steady on, and you don't have to worry about that jitter and ghosting. So first of all, I want to show you how to mount this camera on the gimbal. And it's super easy, and it's so easy I can show you right here. So you're going to just unhook this clip right here, and you're going to put your camera on this ledge right here. And this is what it would look like on the other side. You just want to have the text facing up to down when you read it. And then all you have to do here is take this clip, and you're going to put it over the top, and you're going to click it into place just like that. So when you do that, it's going to look like this until you power it on. But once you power on the gimbal, holding the red power button, you're going to have a nicely balanced camera right here. And the mode that I recommend using is the PF mode. I find that works best. But if you really want to keep your camera in place and not have any movement at all, just hit the mode button and toggle down to the L mode. And L is going to keep your camera from gliding side to side or up and down when you move. But I like it to glide a little bit like this slowly if I'm doing any panning left to right. So I personally like the PF mode best. So next, I'm going to show you the settings that you'll want to use on your Osmo Action 5 Pro to get the very best low light footage. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to make sure you're in video mode. Once you're in video mode, you want to swipe up from the bottom, and you'll want to do either 4K 16:9 or 4K 4:3. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. It's more so going to be a product of which frames per second you want. And of course, if you don't live in the United States, you probably want to do 25. But if you were filming any type of holiday lights or a lot of lights outdoors, like in an urban environment, I do recommend doing 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second is going to help eliminate a lot of that flicker that you see in light. For all of the samples in this video, I did use 30 frames per second, and I had no problems. And that's because our shutter speed, which we're going to talk about in a moment, that's going to be compatible with that 60 hertz standard in the United States. And of course, if you're not in the United States, you'll want to use 25 frames per second. If you want a little bit of vertical footage to work with, extra footage at the top and the bottom for reframing later on, do 4:3. If you don't want to reframe at all, just do the 16:9. And then up here, you'll want to make sure rocksteady is turned on. And then I personally prefer wide, but if you don't want any fisheye distortion, you can do standard D-warp. But I typically do wide, and I like it. After you've set those, we're going to swipe back down, and we're going to go over here to the advanced parameters. Now, the key right here is the exposure. The exposure is where our really important settings are going to be. And the first thing we want to do is we want to go to M, because we need to customize our shutter speed to get the very best low light footage. And of course, in the daylight, it's going to be overexposed like this, but at nighttime, it's going to be perfect. So if you're using 24 frames per second, you want to set your shutter speed to 1/50. But if you're using 30 frames per second like me, set it to 1/60. And then for your ISO range over here, you want to set the range from 100 to 1600. I found that on the Osmo Action 5 Pro, the denoising, even when it's set to the lowest setting, is still great. Even if the ISO has to boost all the way to 1600, it does superb. We're going to click confirm. For the white balance at nighttime, I recommend setting 3800K. Otherwise, the auto white balance is going to adjust. But if you set M here for manual, and then you're going to toggle this down to 3800K right there, and then we're going to hit confirm. For the color mode, you've got a couple options here. I like to set it to D-Log-M 10-bit. That's my favorite because I can do some grading later on, and I can apply a LUT that DJI offers for free, by the way. I'll put a link in the description below. If you want to just do normal 10-bit, you don't want to do any color grading, you can select that. But if you really want to get the best out of that low light footage, do the D-Log-M. And then you can bring up those highlights a little bit, and you can also bring up the shadows a little bit if you need to, which if you'd like to learn more about grading D-Log-M footage, check out the video I've linked to above. Then finally, down here at the bottom, we want to click on image adjustment. And For the texture, we want to put this at -2. And then for the noise reduction, we also want to put this at -2. And the reason for that is if too much noise reduction is applied, that footage is going to have the appearance of the night mode that I showed in the first video, where it doesn't necessarily look terrible, it is still usable, but it's not going to look nearly as good as if you have the noise reduction on low. But even with it on low, the footage is still not noisy and grainy at night. It still looks great. Then we're gonna hit confirm, and there you go. Those are the settings you need to know to get the very best low light footage. For the last couple minutes of this video, I'm going to share a lot of these samples. You can look through them and see just how good it looks.